Hello and welcome once again to Crazy Comics and Stories. It's me, your charming and delightful old Uncle Rat Bastard. And at the other end of the series of tubes and wires that we call the internets is Joe, Crazy Writer. How you doing today, Joe?
Well, all I can say is if you see something, say nothing and drink to forget.
You've been listening to Night Vale again.
Yes, I forgot. And I actually found some of the books that I've been... If I was doing Doctor Strange, and I have no idea if Disney's into it or how they do it, but I would actually have Doctor Strange like hang at Night Vale for like a miniseries or something. Not that the what he's doing necessarily has to take place in Night Vale, but I could just see him as Doctor Strange is busy like meditating, or Wong's like, I don't even know if Wong's part with Doctor Strange anymore. If he's like preparing a meal and he's got the Night Vale radio on, some of that stuff would just be brilliant. Then again, there was this, what was it? The Thrilling Radio Hour, where they had kind of like a guy, a man and a woman. They're really big on drinking, and they run around and solve in supernatural mysteries. And I keep now there would be a team up too. But that's just the way I think. I like a good team up.
Now, I have thought in the past of doing kind of like a radio show podcast, but we looked into actually doing it a few years ago by turning Worldwide News, the strip that I used to do with Dangerous Dan Moore, into a podcast. And the amount of work that would be put into it for little to no return, yeah, that's a little prohibitive.
Yeah. That's why I think more people podcast.
Yeah. You know, there have been a few here and there where it's, like old time radio, but in a lot of ways, old time radio being turned into podcasts is cool. NPR turns every one of their shows pretty much into a podcast, which is kind of makes it fun on my Saturdays. Because you saw that I have Alexa in my car. I'm able to say, Alexa, play Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, and it will play the latest episode of Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me as I drive home.
You go with that illusion.
I say thank you to my Alexa all the time. That way, in case the machines do take over, they know that I'm at least polite.
And you'll be first up against the wall when the revolution comes.
No. I'll be last against the wall.
I'd rather be first. Otherwise, they're just going to want you around to clean up the bodies.
Yeah, it's a living. I saw a terrible movie this weekend I doubt you have ever seen, Joe.
I imagine there are many, many terrible movies you've seen that I have never.
Have you watched from the 70s Planet of the Dinosaurs?
You know what? It rings a bell. It might have been one of those on Late Night Horror Incorporated, but I'll listen to the plot.
A bunch of 70s people in jumpsuits crash land on a planet, and they discover that it is filled with dinosaurs. Now, this planet is pretty much out in the desert of California. They use stop-motion dinosaurs, and through the movie, when somebody does something stupid, they get killed by a dinosaur. But every time they would just show dinosaurs out doing stuff, I would think back to the Flintstones where, you'd see a dinosaur do something or an animal do something, and the joke would be, it's a living.
Now, I guess it wasn't the one. The one I remember, and again, I was a kid, so I was utterly mesmerized, and I can't remember the title, but they found dinosaurs, they found a T-Rex, they found a caveman, and lightning woke them up and started their rampage. And I think it was a T-Rex, a Brontosaurus, and then of course the caveman. And that's all I remember from it. No idea what the movie was, but when you're watching Horror Incorporated, they didn't really have a guest. They just, coffin would open, welcome to Horror Incorporated.
Well,
unless you were paying attention.
The new version of Horror Incorporated that my friend Tommy did, they actually had skits and jokes and stuff with Uncle Ghoulie and Carbuncle and 13. And some of them are available on the YouTubes. But that's not why we're here.
No, not today, anyways.
We're here because it's time for previews, everybody. Previews.
All right. Grab your previews. This is interactive. We're working on previews number 393 for June 91. And this would be for books, most of the books shipping in August. I hope you guys have been working overtime at work.
Day.
I hope you've been giving blood. I hope you've been selling on the eBays. This is going to be a ball buster.
But we got all kinds of free comics that you'll be able to get too. They have all of the gold sponsors.
No, skip it. Because otherwise we'll get a. The one thing is nice is you can go through and you can choose which ones you want to go for. Because most shops, if they're not giving them away, it's like you buy something, get a few. Or you can do like Cory and I do and go to your friendly neighborhood comic store, in this case Granite City, and say, hey, I want one of everything. And Tim costs it out to us, which if I was a comic store, I would do that for my collectors. So again, if you want to go look in your previews and see what they're offering, I just don't want to spend a lot of time on it because we're going to get a whole show out of it anyways.
I would also like to point out DC not listed in the previews, but they are taking part. And there was also some news that broke over the weekend, by the way, Joe, about comic book distribution.
Oh.
You know how Marvel is going to Penguin, Random House, whatever.
Yep.
They're also going to Lunar distribution.
Ooh.
And Cameron, who runs Lunar Distribution and Discount Comic Book Service and has yet to buy an ad from us, the bastard, said that they are going to be hiring between 100 and 150 people because they are negotiating with other publishers as well. Because over the last 20 years, a lot of the exclusive deals that publishers had with Diamond have expired. They just never re-upped them. The exclusivity part. So you may be seeing distributor wars.
Which isn't necessarily good for comic retailers.
It's not good, but it also might not be bad because competition always helps.
It can, but it also increases the workload. Most comic stores are only one-man operations anyways. So unless you got a decent distribution of or delegation of work, you're making it tougher on comic shops.
I think it's going to be interesting because Diamond is starting to talk about not charging for shipping.
Yeah, because
with Lunar stepping it up, you won't have as many damages because Lunar is so much better at packing than Diamond is. And it could also be, hey, because DC is with Lunar and I could get my Marvel with Lunar, I might get better terms if I go with my Image and my Dark Horse and my IDW and other things. And it might also force Diamond to kind of step up their game. I'm going to look at it as a positive. I'm going to look on the bright side.
You're not a comic retailer, so you can look at it any way you want. Doesn't make it so. But when we go talk to Tim in Granite City in a couple months, we'll see what he has to say about it. Because he's kind of more of a judge. Right now, he's not looking forward to it because it's just more work. Same amount of money. Although the free shipping, though, that's actually positive. That's something we haven't seen since mid-'90s. I mean, we lost that as soon as Diamond won the war between, and it wasn't Diamond's fault. People like to diss on Diamond. It wasn't their fault, but that's a different podcast. That's not what we're here to talk about today. What I'm curious, though, is because we're so used to using the previews catalog, would that mean we will have to use more than one distributor's catalog in order to do this? Or will the preview show just become something of the past?
Or what? I'm still wondering what's going to happen with when Marvel goes over to their new distributor. Will Diamond still pack the Marvel book in with their previews.
Yeah.
Lots of questions to be answered, and we're not going to be able to answer them, but we can start with Image. Joe, what you getting from Image?
Wait, you don't want to go over the covers of anything?
Not really.
Usually you're geeking on the cover because, I mean, you just get the thing out of the box and you're already, oh, yeah, I'm all over that.
Well, it's the covers are a book from Ablaze.
Well, we don't have to cover it. We're only interested in things that.
Yeah, the thing on the spine is a Venom statue, and on the back is
don't even
Spawn book.
Unless you're going to buy it,
just jumped out at me.
Yeah, unless you're going to buy it, don't worry about it. Because otherwise, I'll direct you to page 48. I'm not. This is one I'm not sure about, but I'm big on. What's that funky guy?
Eric Larson.
Eric Larson. Yeah, I like his take on stuff. So he outright bought the Ant property. Good luck finding the early issues of Ant. They're like crazily expensive. So I'm hoping he'll pop out a Ant trade with everything. But he finished the original story, Ant 12. This should be out on the stands now. Restarting with a number 1. Tons of different covers to buy. Now, I'm big on Savage Dragon variant covers because I have them all. I don't think I'm going to jump on the Ant one. So I got to decide which one I want to buy. But other than that, I'm interested. I'll probably hang around with this for a while and see where he goes with it. So that's my first one. What else you got?
I'm going to direct you back to page 40. Echo Lands number 1. This is written and drawn by J.H. Williams III, who you may know from his run on Promethea with Alan Moore, Sandman Overture with Neil Gaiman, Batwoman, which he wrote and drew, and he's one of those writer-artists who, if he's going to do it, I'm going to buy it. You get a couple of pages showing the kind of stuff he does. He does very experimental page layouts and very experimental art. Remember that last issue of Promethea is one giant comic panel if you take it apart and paste it all together, which ends the story. His run on Batwoman was fantastic. He's the creator of that character, and I will buy anything he does. It says here, it talks more about him than it does about the book, but it says, in a bizarre future world that has forgotten its history, a reckless thief, Hope Red Hood, holds the key to excavating its dark, strange past. If only she and her crew can escape the tyrannical wizard and his unstoppable daughter, but fate will send them all on a path leading to war between worlds. Yeah, I'm buying it. It's I'm
going to go. I'm going trades on this one because I love Promethea on a trade, and it's a tough one because Image has had a good track record of number 1s if you're a speculator / eBay guy going through the roof. And this art, even on the crappy pages that Previews is made on, and that's not a knock on Previews, it's just a distributor catalog. But to have this on real glossy comic paper or in a graphic novel, I think, one way or another, I'm buying this. So I'll either break down and buy it as a number 1 and just speculate on it, or I'm definitely going to get it as a trade. I don't have anything else Image. There is something I'm going to point out, though, on page 56. This is from the creator of Rick and Morty. And if you're also fans of Mega Man, this is a new limited series filled with mystery, murder, and mayhem from fan favorite Tess Stone, set in the world of Rick and Morty co-creator Justin Roiland's hit video game series, Trover Saves the Universe. Now, of course, if you're a Rick and Morty fan, you already know what I said. I'm just pointing this out because Rick and Morty is published by somebody else.
Oni Press.
So you may have missed that they have something here going on in the Image universe. Could that mean Rick and Morty might come over to Image? No, not at the moment. Maybe later. So anyways, a couple of variant covers, some page art, grab a magnifying glass. So if you're a Rick and Morty fan, yeah, you will be all over this.
Another
You got it.
another book that I am getting when it's a trade. Tell Me You Love Me in the Dark. I'm sorry, The Me You Love in the Dark.
Page is that bad boy.
Only reason I'm buying it, written by Scotty Young.
What page is it on?
That is on page 50.
50. Check it out. Page 50.
Scotty Young, who right now over at Marvel does Strange Academy, has done all kinds of other stuff, including I Hate Fairyland and Middle West. An artist known as Ro retreats from the grind of the city to an old house in a small town to find solace and inspiration without realizing the muse within is not what she expected. Fans of Stephen King and Neil Gaiman will enjoy this beautiful, dark, and disturbing story. One of the things that Image does is they will say, if you like this, you'll like this.
Yep.
So I like the fact that they do that for retailers, because retailers get tons of new books. And you've been a retailer, even at slower times, there's no time to read all of them.
Well, there is. You just got to be better. My day was Thursday.
Or just, not have any personal life at all.
Well, when I got to sit in the shop for, 10 hours on a Thursday, believe me, I read a lot of comics.
But I like
Scotty Young,
that they say, here you go. If people like A, they'll like this book.
And unfortunately, a lot of retailers don't have time to actually put that on the shelf, because that's where we had the little flyers, and I would take that blurb and just put it up. Fans of Stephen King and Neil Gaiman, check this out. The Me You Love in the Dark. I'm doing the same thing as Cory. I'm going to go graphic novel on this one. And of course, I was just going to mention Scotty Young's variants at Marvel's. Oh, going through the roof. A lot of people didn't pick them up because they were kind of babyish type things. But boy, when I look at what they were and what they are now, there's people picking them up. Anything else?
No new stuff from Image other than what I pointed out.
All right. Who's next?
Dark Horse.
Let's see what I got from Dark Horse. Dark Horse.
I want to point out one that I already have, and I've had it for about 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Moving from Vertigo to Dark Horse is Enigma. This is Enigma, the definitive edition by Peter Milligan and Duncan Ferrendo. DC published it as one of their first Vertigo books, which does Joe know, this book and Sebastian O, the book by Grant Morrison, were going to be published by which comic book company before it went under and they ended up at Vertigo?
I don't know.
Disney.
Oh, really?
Yes, Disney was going to start an adult line, and these were the two books that were announced, and then they went under, and because one of the editors over at Disney came over to Vertigo, he brought these two projects with him, and they were some of the first Vertigo books. Enigma is a visceral postmodern tale of self-discovery and sexual identity, told against the backdrop of outrageous superheroes and villains. Michael Smith has a meaningless life, but when the weird characters from Enigma, his favorite childhood comic, seem to come to life, Michael embarks on an increasingly obsessive crusade to discover the incredible secret behind their improbable existence, and ultimately his own. This has a brand new cover, 50 pages of extras, including development art, color sketches, behind-the-scene notes. I am not the biggest fan of this book, but I do think it's important to point out because, once again, this is one of the first Vertigo books, and because it was creator-owned, after DC let it go out of print, the creators were able to bring it over to where Karen Berger works, which is at Dark Horse.
Berger.
Karen Berger, the original editor at Vertigo. So, you see, it all kind of wraps up.
Go to page 98. Did you mention what page it is? Boy, I'm sorry, folks. Cory's just he's been wrapped up
Yes, I
too
did.
long
I said
with
106.
no air conditioning, and he's just forgetting the interactive nature of this here podcast. But I'm not me. Go back to page 98. Killer Queens. Not really that queen, but meet Max and Alex, reformed intergalactic assassins for hire, and on the run. Also super gay. Their former boss, a fluffy monster with monkey with a jetpack. Cory, I thought you'd be all over this. Fluffy monkey with a jetpack is hot on their tail to take back his stolen ship. They got to eat, so they take a mission from Alex's old flame. Your standard no-kill, casualty-free kidnapping recovery from a nearby moon. Haven't we all been down that road? Only complication, half the moon is ruled by a fascist dictator hostile to foreigners. They're the killer queen, so what could possibly go wrong? This one looks good. I think, I haven't decided miniseries or pick it up as a trade. Did you have anything else, Cory?
Another EC archive is going paperback. This one is Frontline Combat, which was the Harvey Kurtzman edited book. First 5 issues. Let's see. No, first 4 issues. 12, 13, 14, and 15. That's really weird. Normally they do 5, but I guess it's just 4. You got Jack Davis, John Severin, Will Elder, Alex Toth, Joe Kubert, Wally Wood, and Harvey Kurtzman. If you haven't bought it already, buy it. I bought it as the EC, the great big box sets, which are in black and white, shot directly from the original art. Then in the 90s, I bought the comics when they reprinted them all comic size, and then would bundle them together as annuals. And this is the good stuff.
OCD. Yep. One more form. Page 115. The House, trade paperback. Phillips Seavey, Drew Zucker. During the Battle of the Bulge, a squadron of U.S. soldiers is caught in a blizzard while patrolling through the woods. Seeking refuge from the impending whiteout, they stumble across an abandoned manor, seeking shelter and safety. Once inside, however, the doors disappear, rooms begin to morph, exits become entrances, and they quickly realize there is no safety to be found. As their eyes deceive them, their minds descend into madness, panic, and paranoia. Is this real, or is this more to this labyrinth than what resides within the walls? Trade paperback, 148 pages for $20. I'll give it a shot. Now, I don't remember, Cory, who published Evil Dead when it first came out?
Oh, everybody's published it at some point or another. Dark Horse might have.
Yeah.
But
anyways,
everybody's published it at one point or another, it seems.
Yeah, and it's currently as Army of Darkness fighting it out in one of Dynamite's books. But here is the 40th anniversary of the Evil Dead. And if you haven't picked that up, it's worth checking it out, if nothing for the John Bolton art. I think Dark Horse did do it, because I remember it was real hot because of the Bolton art.
The weird thing about it is, you talked about Evil Dead is available from Dark Horse. Army of Darkness is available from Dynamite because 2 different companies own those, which is why it got so messy around doing a sequel to Army of Darkness, because a different company owns Army of Darkness. So when they do an Evil Dead movie, they can't use anything from Army of Darkness.
So there. No boomstick for you, Evil Dead. That's all I got.
Remind you a lot of when the James Bond, there was that guy who owned Thunderball, because when Ian Fleming was writing Thunderball, he worked with a movie producer on it. And so Thunderball was owned by Ian Fleming and this other company, which is how we got the movie Never Say Never Again.
That's all I got for Dark Horse. How about anything else for you?
I don't have anything else for Dark Horse. And we'll do IDW before we go to DC because I only have one thing
No,
with IDW.
I want to stay alphabetical. Boy, no wonder. No,
But DC's not even in here.
it doesn't matter. I got it loaded up, courtesy of Discount Comic Book Service.
I have one thing from IDW.
Well, we
on
can
page
get to that
139.
after DC because I got a lot of things from DC.
Okay, fine. Be that way.
I am. Actually, I pretty much lied. Everything. The only thing I've got new is way back in the Superman stuff. Superman Lobo. And as I wait through
Lobo, bring back Sheriff Lobo.
Sheriff Lobo. As I flip through everything, let's see, between all the books, you have Batman, have Superman. Here it is. Superman versus Lobo with 3 different variant covers. Let's see, what happens when an indomitable force meets an irritating object? Well, it's pretty much all you need to know because one's Superman, one's Lobo. Think of a Boy Scout joining a biker gang. What's worse, will the damage Lobo caused on his own or the chaos trying to stop him be worse? Yep, it's a team up, fanboys. So that is it. Other than, well, there's a couple things I'll point out. But before we start getting into the trades, is there any series you want to point out, Cory?
Oh yeah. Go back a couple pages.
I can't.
Step back into the Tim Burton Batman universe. Batman 89, written by Sam Hamm, who wrote the screenplay for the Batman movie, and also wrote Batman, Batman Returns. And do you remember that 3-part story in Detective leading up to Detective 600?
Oh yeah.
He wrote that as well. And then the page after that, Superman 78, set in the continuity of the first Superman movie.
Now, you never did see the CW Crisis, did you?
I have not seen it yet, no.
Okay, because that's how they referred to these worlds. When they revealed there was a multiverse, it would be multiverse number 77 for Superman, or multiverse 89. So that, when they went to Lucifer's universe, 666. So I thought that was, or 66 was like when they went to the Adam West, Burt Ward universe. So it's kind of interesting that they're actually doing that here, accepting that there's a universe, and hey, I love it. Putting stories in it. I'm going to pick up the trades on these, but yeah, I think it's going to be a blast.
We've got a Superman 80th anniversary special, and I like these. It's a big old 100-page book with nice thick covers on real thick paper for $10. I've really liked these anniversary specials they've been doing, which are just a whole bunch of short stories by different creators. I will point out that Batman is about to start a big crossover with all the Bat books, which means it will eventually be all of DC Comics because that's pretty much all they print.
And I have a concern about that.
Yeah,
and I will point to WWF/E. Cory, tell the folks what happened with WWE when all they did was go back to their established talent and never developed anything new.
Well, eventually what happened is what we have now, where nobody really much matters. Everybody has lost to the big stars that aren't there anymore. So it's really, really hard for them to create new stars.
And I can't help but think that DC's kind of dipping their toe into that water. You pointed out last podcast that, yeah, if it's Batman, it sells. It's probably not the same type of analogy. But all I can think of is you got tons and tons of property. How did Deadpool become the hot mega property it is now? Well, it's not because of those first couple appearances. It's because someone took a chance on it. Same thing with Harley Quinn. The only reason she busted out is it caught people's imagination. If you're going to have a whole ton of properties and never develop them, or even see if anybody's interested in them. Again, the only Batmans I'm buying are Batman Scooby-Doo, and the only Supermans I'm getting is the Superman Authority Mini and the Superman Lobo. I don't care about anything else. Bat me to death, I don't care. So just a concern with DC. I mean, yeah, fine, Batman sells, Superman sells, but if that's all you get, if that's the only trick you have, well, then again, I suppose what DC stands for. Never mind.
You also have to remember that they just went through a huge reorganization where the people up top have said, if a book isn't making this much profit,
those
it's
people
gone.
aren't there anymore.
Well,
They're
no,
gone.
but
They
their
just got
influence is
sold
still
off
here
again.
because
Yeah,
this is stuff that was probably put in the works 6 months ago.
Yeah, their influence is here because they fired anybody who would have done anything else.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see. We'll see what else happens.
And then when we get to collected editions,
there's only two I've got for you. Well, but the two I got aren't Batman. The first one is if you have never, and I mean ever, picked up Saga the Swamp Thing by Alan Moore, Steve Bissett, John Tobel's pen, and others, you can do all 6 volumes in a pretty nifty. Is that in a slipcase?
Yes.
Yeah. For what do they got to retail on this bad boy? It's retailed $120. You can probably find it for less. Trust me, I've been trying to track these books down on the eBays, and it's very tempting to sell off the ones I have and just go for the slipcase. However, I'm only missing number 3, so I'm not going for it. But plus, these are phenomenal stories to begin with. So I highly recommend this. For me, this is omnibus number 1 that I'm buying this month, The Books of Magic, Volume 2, because I want the whole series. They started it out in trade paperbacks a while back, and apparently they've abandoned that idea because they've gone to omnibuses. So I'll be selling my trade on the eBays and putting the omnibus up on my shelf. That's it pretty much for me book-wise. But Cory's got a keener eye than me. What things caught your attention?
A lot of reissues, but one that's being reissued that never saw print because they canceled it once is the Batwoman Omnibus. Again, J.H. Williams III, Greg Rucka, Mark Andreyko are the writers, J.H. Williams III, Amy Reeder, Jock are the artists. Reprints her first appearance and the run of backup stories they did in Detective Comics, then her 24-issue series, and the annual. J.H. Williams III, his stuff is just so gorgeous and so well thought out. He's one of those artists who his page design will blow you away. Absolutely wonderful stuff here. What is next? Yes, the Books of Magic Omnibus. I'm getting that because I have the first one. If you were interested in the Hill House comics, the horror comics put together by Joe Hill, which is Stephen King's son, they're out in trade paperback. They came out about a year ago in hardcover. Now they're doing them in trade paperback. I loved Basket Full of Heads. The others were just kind of okay. And I don't think I even made it through Daphne Byrne, even though I love Kelly Jones's art. The story just never grabbed me. So that one just kind of sat there in my mind. And I think that is it. Yes, that was it. DC, again, not a whole lot. They do have a box set of the Hill House stuff for $99.99, which has all 6 trade paperbacks. You don't really save any money. Sorry. Nope. Also, if you don't have Arkham Asylum, they do have the Arkham Asylum Deluxe Edition. Arkham Asylum, which was the biggest selling original trade paperback in the history of comics. It came out 1989 when Batman was ultra huge. It's fully painted by Grant Morrison, and people bought it and didn't understand it because they weren't used to Grant Morrison.
Yep.
But it sold so many copies that he was able to go around the world and take all sorts of drugs. And then when he came back, all the experiences he'd had taking drugs, he turned into comic books, including The Invisibles. So if you've never read it, I highly recommend it. And the world has caught up with Grant Morrison now, so you would kind of read it and go, oh, okay, I understand what's going on. Because the story was that there's the gates have opened in Arkham Asylum, and Batman's got to go in and restore order. And everybody thought, oh, this is going to be Batman beating the shit out of his rogues gallery for 100 pages. And it's not. It's very psychological. It's very, very introspective. I really, really love it. And with the deluxe edition, they do stuff to help explain to people who aren't used to that storytelling style, including the original script, a lot of the original art. Really good package. So if you haven't read it before, go ahead and pick that up. And that is it for DC for me.
Damn comics.
And now IDW.
All right. Well, I got two, so I'll go first, and then we'll let you go, and then we'll finish up. Again, on page 132, Transformers King Grimlock. Mostly because I'm a Grimlock fan. And while I don't collect a lot of the current Transformers, it's just this particular one caught my eye and dragged it 15 feet. Grimlock, the beloved powerhouse T-Rex with an attitude and one of the strongest Cybertronians in existence, finds himself magically transported to a world of fantastical beasts and strange powers. In this savage world, where the strong rule with a sword and iron, Grimlock finds a new opportunity to prove he's the strongest there is. But as Grimlock and the human barbarian Arco will learn, sometimes brute strength is not enough.
I thought
5-issue series.
One there is.
Well, read by the miniseries to find out. Not going to give it away here. Spoilers, people. Okay, mister, I've only got one IDW. What do you got? What you got?
All right, page 139. Lock and Key, the Golden Age. Unlock moments from Key House's long history, exploring the saga of the Locke family in this collection of stories, which includes the epic crossover with DC's The Sandman universe. So remember how you were going to wait for the crossover? Here it is.
Yep, all ready for you. Lots of money. Lots of money. Actually, no.
No, it's 264 pages, hardcover for $30. And also, again, nice. Lock and Key is written by Stephen King's son.
So flip to the next page, 140. Junk Wraith. What she once possessed now threatens to possess her. What happens when our most precious belongings no longer belong? When something we love suddenly becomes junk, a powerful energy is unleashed. One night, ice skating prodigy Florence Sato is overwhelmed by a pressure and throws away her skates. This fateful moment accidentally summons a junk wraith, a terrifying ghost which seeks revenge for its abandonment by attacking the memories of its former owner. Before she forgets who she is and to find out who she really wants to be, Florence must set off with their trusty digital assistant Frank on a long journey into the wastelands to put to rest the monster she created. I thought this was interesting. It's cover artist Eleanor Richie. It's the debut of a new artist, under 30. If you're into Adventure Time, Over the Garden Wall, or Steven Universe, this is the type of thing that you might want to pick up. And it originally was a serialized webcomic, and now you can just pick it up as a single edition. So this one, though, is coming out in October, so it won't be August. But that's it for me for IDW.
And so now, do we do Marvel because it's next, or do we do Dynamite because it's next?
Marvel's next.
Doing it in alphabetical order is completely
Marvel is right there. So you go IDW, and there's a sheet of Marvel, because Marvel still has their own highly collectible free previews. that you could hang on to if you're so want to. And I know you want to.
Nah, not really. I throw them away after I'm done.
Yeah, I kind of recycle them too. All right, page 10.
Actually, I'd like to point out the cover. That is a butt ugly cover. I could not figure out what the hell it was for the longest time looking at it. And it looks like it's a painted cover with the 60 years. But man, that is just a poorly designed cover. I did not like it at all.
Didn't strike me one way or the other.
Oh, sir, don't like it.
Because I was on page 10 looking at Kang the Conqueror. You know I love me a good time travel story. This, allegedly, is the origin of Kang. No, not the Star Trek guy. This is the Marvel villain, because he's been a pariah, a villain, a warlord of the spaceways. Feral. He's not a pariah. And even on rare occasions, he's been a hero. Across all timelines, one fact seems absolute. Time means nothing to Kang the Conqueror. But the truth is more complex. Kang is caught in an endless cycle of creation and destruction dictated by time and previously unseen by anyone but the Conqueror himself. A cycle that could finally explain the enigma that is Kang. A cycle that begins and ends with an old and broken Kang sending his younger self down a dark path. 552 variant covers to choose from. I will choose the one that's, there you go. You got a Scotty Young cover. Pat Gleason, he's doing one. His covers have been awesome lately. Peach Momoko is doing one. Or just get the Mike Del Muno cover, which will probably be the cheapest one.
I found out something about Kang the Conqueror this week, Joe.
What's that?
Now, you have read Marvel Superhero Secret Wars.
You are correct.
And you saw that Kang had a toy in that line.
He did.
But in the actual comic itself, he kind of left early.
Yeah, he was a wuss.
You know why?
Why's that?
Jim Shooter actively hated that character. Had to include him because there was a toy. But not only did Shooter put out a decree that no one should use Kang the Conqueror because he felt the character had been overused and hated the character, but had to put it in because there was a toy, so that's why Kang was in for, I think it was a total of 3 whole panels. And Kang was not used during the time Jim Shooter was the editor-in-chief. More and more we find out the weird decrees he had, where it's like, no, Kang's stupid, you can't use a character.
Nobody smoke.
And I think I told you this before, when Steve Englehart started doing the Silver Surfer, he wanted to bring Thanos back, and Tom DeFalco was like, who's that?
Never heard of him. Never last.
I don't know if I'm buying this book or not, but Joe, when you were looking through all those 90s books at the warehouse sale, you didn't find any copies of Dark Hawk, did you?
Just the ones that are up on the wall.
Because Dark Hawk is red hot and he's back.
Hot.
Page 22, Dark Hawk is back. Out of all the 90s characters that I thought they would resuscitate, I never thought Dark Hawk would be back. Even when Dark Hawk was out, it was like, wow, this just isn't very good. What it is, it's a teenager finds a gem, and it gives him magic armor, and he didn't understand his powers. They took forever in explaining it all. His villains were dull. The teenager himself was dull. But nope, they brought him back, and he's getting another chance.
Good man, that Dark Hawk. Speaking of other chances, on page 18, Cable Reloaded. The big gun is back. I guess, what was that? Young Cable?
Teenage Cable.
Yep. Yeah, him and Teenage Iron Man, poofed, gone. So, but this is, I don't know if this is a one shot or just leading up to the crossover coming up, Last Annihilation.
It is a one shot for Last Annihilation.
Yep. So I'm picking it up because I'm interested in the Last Annihilation to see if it's any good as the other ones. Or if it's just boring. You're so
Now,
cynical.
normally I do not point out one-shots and things like that, but there is one that I do want to point out because it's not going to be in the regular trade paperback because the regular trade paperback is already out. What? Spider-Man Life Story Annual Number 1. I'm trying to find that in here. Looks like, oh, okay, it's after all the X-Men books. Page 46, Spider-Man Life Story Annual Number 1. Now, Joe, I don't know if you read Spider-Man Life Story or not, but it was the conceit of it was, what if Spider-Man had aged in real time? So in the 60s, he was a teenager. In the 70s, he was in his 20s, etc., etc. This is a tie-in to that, telling the Spider-Man story through that timeline from J. Jonah Jameson's perspective. And if you read Spider-Man Life Story, you know that Chris Zdarsky is so damn good at writing Spider-Man. The fact that it's going to focus on J. Jonah Jameson's perspective on Spider-Man through that story, this is a must-buy for me. Drawn by Mark Bagley.
Bagley, never last.
I
They're
love
back.
telling this story, by the way. How did Mark Bagley get into comics, Joe?
He met a guy named Gruba who said, "I buy you Spider-Man if you do it ultimately."
Nope.
Oh, okay, then I don't know.
You don't know?
He was the
tryout book.
Yeah, I was gonna say the tryout book thing. See, kids, that was their version of America's Got Talent.
Back in the 80s, they put out a book on basically on the paper that they used for original art to show people how to create comics. You know, you would get a blank page, or, you know, here's a page for inkers, here's a page for letterers, here's a page for colorists, here's a page for writers. And if you won, you got to do a Marvel comic. Well, Mark Bagley won, and the comic he did, I don't know if it ever saw print, because it was, if you win, you get to do the story that's in this. But instead, he got picked up for books. I believe the first stuff he did was in the New Universe, because New Universe's budget had been cut so far. They could only afford either people in the office or people who were trying out for comics because their page rates would be so low. I do want to point out a Marvel Tales, which is their reprint series on page 50. Miles Morales, Marvel Tales number 1, reprints Ultimate Comics Spider-Man 1 through 5, first 5 issues for $7.99. They just reprinted a Loki miniseries in Marvel Tales, and you can either buy the trade paperback for $17.99, or you can buy the Marvel Tales, which is on the same paper, just doesn't have the hard glossy cover, for $7.99. You decide.
Let's see, back on page 20. They're back. The Defenders. When existence itself faces extraordinary threats, it needs extraordinary defense. That's when you call the Defenders. It's got Doctor Strange, got the Masked Rider. Let's see, blah, blah, blah. Weirdest, wildest heroes on a mission that will uncover hidden architecture of reality itself. But if the Defenders can't track Marvel's oldest villain through the deepest trenches of time, the cosmos we know, well, this might be the last. So 5-issue miniseries, not too many variants, but we'll see what happens.
I've always been a fan of the Defenders.
Yeah, hopefully they get it. Looking down my list,
I always am surprised that the book, when they relaunch the book, it never really takes off, because they try really hard to put hot talent on it. You know, they had Eric Larson and Kurt Busiek on it one time. They had Matt Fraction and Ariel Olivetti. They actually had J.M. DeMatteis, Keith Giffen, and Kevin McGuire on one relaunch, and none of them ever seemed to click. But yeah, I've always liked the Defenders. Always liked that they were kind of the second team. The Avengers were the Earth's Mightiest Avengers, and the Defenders were more Doctor Strange and some other quirky characters.
I got nothing. I got no other series I'm into yet. So if you
Hoax
got
is
anything, we'll
gonna
go
kill
with
us.
that. Otherwise, we can just jump right into the.
Let's go to the budget busters.
1, 2, 3 more books I gotta buy. Not to mention the one from DC. Which ones are you going for, Cory?
Okay, first off, what if the original series Omnibus Volume 2? There are 3 covers, by the way. So you can get the Bodansky cover, which is What If Wolverine Had Killed the Hulk. The Bob Layton cover, which is actually for one of those where they had two stories in one, or the John Romita Jr. cover, which is the cover for What If number 34, which was the comedy issue. And it's weird that John Romita Jr. drew the cover for the comedy issue. This is What If 23 through 47. Kind of surprised they don't have the special What If, the Iron Man one shot they did that was sitting in a drawer, and they decided, crap, we need to retain the copyright on What If. Put it out as a special.
It's a special.
But I like What If. The second half of the run lost a lot of steam because Roy Thomas had left the company. And once Roy Thomas left, it seemed like it was more give this to up-and-comers rather than when Roy Thomas did it, it was, no, we're going to make this special. You had Roy Thomas, you had Gil Kane, you had Jack Kirby, you had John Byrne. And when you get to the second half, it's, more people who were either on their way up or on their way down. I do want to point out, even though I already have all the trades, I'm debating whether I will get the Howard the Duck by Chip Zdarsky. I did not want to like this book. And if you go back and listen to the podcast, when they announced it, I said, no one should do Howard the Duck but Steve Gerber. Chip Zdarsky did a different version of the character that I liked a lot. And I was really impressed by how he made the book his own. The other thing I want to point out is this is a cheaper omnibus because it's only 424 pages. So it's only $60. And that means if you get it from your online retailer, it's going to be about $30. It's well worth it. It is so good and surprised me at how good it was.
The first one I got on my list is going to be the Fantastic Four by Jonathan Hickman.
Me too. I missed it the first time.
Yeah. I thought I had it, but I guess I got Matt Factions down low, which is fine. And I've been reading just different parts of his stuff because I have different ones around. I wonder if this is going to be the first, though.
There are 2. Because they're going to reprint them both, and there were 2 omnibuses.
Yeah. So the one above it, the Mutant Massacre, is on the, if I didn't have 4 other ones I was buying list, because that's a new printing on this bad boy. And it's a good story, but I got it also in my essentials. What I don't have is the Fantastic Four vs. X-Men and the X-Men vs. Avengers, which is included as part of this. I don't know why, maybe just so they could pad it out to make it a true omnibus, 952 pages.
I am getting the Captain America Lives omnibus because when I bought, these came out, there are 5 of the Ed Brubaker Captain America omnibuses, and this came out when I wasn't able to afford omnibuses, so I'm picking them up. I was able to get the last 2. Remember when Marvel was dumping them at like $20 each? So I got the last 2, and now they're reprinting they're reprinting them all. So I just got to buy the first 3. This is the last one I need to get. On that same page is another one that I wasn't able to get when it came out, and that is Wolverine and the X-Men by Jason Aaron. We've heard that name before. This was a series where Jason Aaron and Chris Bacalo, as well as Mike Allred and Nick Bradshaw and George Molina, I missed out on this series because it was, another Wolverine book. But I have since read most of it on Marvel Unlimited. It is fantastic. Just a fantastic book. And it's Jason Aaron, who's really inventive, really good writer. Now, the next page I'm hovering on. I don't know if I'm going to get it or not, but it's not an omnibus.
Oh, yeah.
It is the Warlock by Jim Starlin Gallery Edition. And what that means is it's printed on better paper. It's printed larger. The full grandeur of Starlin's Saga is on the oversized pages of the Gallery Edition. These aren't as big as the tabloid editions, but it's basically, this is the same size it was drawn at. And I already have this as the Thanos omnibus, so I probably am not going to get it. But if you've never read these stories or you don't already have them, pick this up because they're so inventive, so many great ideas, such a great story. And as you read it, you'll go, how the hell was this printed in a mainstream comic in the 70s? Mm-hmm. Because it reads like an underground comic. Some underground weird science fiction stuff that somebody drew while they were hopped up on goofballs.
Hopped up on goofballs, kids.
Goofballs, everybody, goofballs.
Now I'm doing the one on 89, New Mutants Omnibus, because I got number 1 and I enjoyed the run when it came out. So let's see, cover. I don't know which cover. I'll figure it out when it gets there. They're both pretty good covers.
I do want to point something out. They do have the X-Men by Jonathan Hickman omnibus. The reason I'm not picking that up is it doesn't have all the other books, like the X-Men trade paperbacks, which is basically the entire X-Men saga in order. This is just the stuff by Jonathan Hickman. So I am not picking that up.
Yep. There are some things Cory just won't pick up.
Well, I'm not going to pick up something that's incomplete.
Yes.
So. However, because they're not printing it as one of the paperbacks, because it's one of the big event stories, on page 94, X-Men The Hellfire Gala, the red carpet edition. If you notice, the big crossover stories, they're not putting in those trade paperbacks. So I had to pick up the X of Swords hardcover. I had to pick up the House of X, Power of X hardcover in order to get the whole story. In order to get the whole story, I do need to pick up the Hellfire Gala hardcover. And the story is so damn good, I'm not concerned. Don't worry about it. Don't care. I'm really happy.
Very happy. I really don't have anything else I can afford, so I'm just going to sit back and listen to you. I mean, this is a killer month on omnibuses, and the sad thing is, well, we'll get to it when we get to freaking. But, yeah, no, it's a very sad story. Make you touch cloth.
Let's see. Back in the Epic collections, they do have Volume 6 in the Incredible Hulk Epic Collection, which is the Counter-Earth story, which actually wrapped up all the stuff from the original Warlock story, which, Joe, did you read the original Warlock series by Roy Thomas and Gil Kane?
I did. I blotted it out of my brain.
Yeah, it's not that great. It very much, Roy Thomas decided to do a Jesus allegory where Warlock was the Jesus for Counter-Earth, and then it went over into the Hulk, and the story ended with the Hulk punching people.
Hulk punch. I think I picked them up because Doom was in a cover.
Epic Collections, they are reprinting the Fantastic Four Epic Collection, World's Greatest Comic Magazine, which is the Volume 1. So I always point out the Epic Collections when they do the Volume 1 because, you know, this is the first, first 18 issues of the Fantastic Four. We do have a couple of the smaller trade paperbacks coming out that I will be picking up. Strange Academy Brightside, which is the second Strange Academy trade paperback. These are in the Scholastic book size, as well as Spider-Gwen Deal with the Devil, which is Spider-Man 12 through 14 and Spider-Gwen 16 to 23. So it does have the crossover with Ultimate Spider-Man. And then Mighty Marvel Masterworks, which are the Scholastic book size Masterworks reprinting the first 10 issues. This is the Avengers, which first 10 issues is Kirby and Lee, and is very, very different from what came later, because it's almost like when Jack Kirby left, Stan Lee said, I really need to tone this shit down. And a few issues into after Kirby leaving, it's like, okay, he got rid of Iron Man, he got rid of Thor, he got rid of Giant Man and the Wasp, and he brought in Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch, and Quicksilver to team with Captain America. And to this day, that's one of the weirdest teams, especially when you look at early Marvel.
Yeah.
Oh, great. 3 villains and Captain America. What the hell? And there you go. There's Marvel taking all our money.
Yay. Good job, Marvel. All right. What's next? Oh, actually, there are a couple things in Dynamite that I was going to point out. These aren't things I'm buying, but just things I'm pointing out in case you happen to be a Kiss fan.
And
Page.
I do want to say, a lot of people are saying, oh, this is going to be worth a lot. Go back and look at the previous Kiss comics.
You never know. But 156, page 156, Kiss Phantom Obsession. So if you got your Kiss on, you definitely want to check that up, some preview pages. This one, kind of don't know. Elvira meets Vincent Price, #1 on page 160. Yep, 2 titans of horror and comedy unite in comics for the very first time, with tons of variant covers to come along. If you're also an Elvira fan, they're doing their $50 coin on page 165, as well as all sorts of other fun things, lithographs, trading cards, and of course your Spectora switchboard, which we used to call a Ouija board in our day.
Well, they can't call it a Ouija board because Ouija is owned by Parker Brothers.
Good man, Parker Brothers. On page 174 is the aforementioned Die! Exclamation point. Namite, which has the Ash from Evil Darkness and Vampirella. And the way it caught my attention, Vampirella meets the wrong end of Ash's boomstick. So sounds like a fun one. That was pretty much it for Dynamite. Just a couple of fun things to check out.
And now, boom!
I got nothing new from Boom. Nothing that I ain't already buying.
I am actually going to pick up the Something is Killing the Children Book 1 Adult Deluxe Edition. It's $50 for reprinting the first 15 issues. Yep. And this is a book that I've heard a lot about.
Oh, yeah, I've been on it since Oprah had her canned ham incident.
Was going to pick it up with the trade, but somehow I missed that. So, and I like hardcovers better, especially if it's something that I'm going to read more and more. Has the entire first story arc in one volume. There is a deluxe limited slipcase edition that is just basically the same book in a slipcase. Then I don't feel the need to pay $20 for a slipcase.
I like slipcases, but I've got.
Are they worth $20?
Well, I know I could sell
when Marvel
the first
puts out
issue
152 different goddamn omnibuses.
I know I could sell the first issue I have of Something's Killing the Children and pay for all my omnibuses. So
you guys sell that buy a house.
Listen to us. I'm telling you. All right. Are we ready for the rest?
And the rest.
And the
here
rest.
In previews aisle.
All right. Let's hop to page 222. No, not because I like saying 222, which I really do, but I'm not through because I'm going to mention Run. This is a continuation of the stories on the life of John Lewis, who's a civil rights movement pioneer. It reads, to John Lewis, the civil rights movement came to an end with the signing of the Voting Rights Act in 1965, but that was after more than 5 years as one of the premier figures on the movement, leading sit-in protests, fighting segregation on interstate busways, as an original freedom rider. This pretty much continues the story that was originally in March which you can pick up as a 3-issue set. I don't know if it's out in trade or if it was a trade. I just picked up the bookcase edition with a slipcase, and this is a continuation of that story. So definitely, I know if those of you want to know about history, definitely check it out. If not, we got all sorts of other things you can check out. Cory?
Well, I want to point out, every month they highlight something in previews, and this month is Pride Month, so they highlight books that have LGBTQ characters and stories. And so as you go through previews, you'll see stuff that's highlighted. And if you go to pages 214 and 215, they recommend a bunch of different books. But I'm going to start with Archie on page 251.
What?
80 years, 80 stories.
Wow.
It's 704 pages for $14.99, full color. They say it's trade paperback size. Normally, the books that are $14.99 and have that many pages are the 1,000-page digests. But this one, to celebrate 80 years of Archie and the Riverdale Gang, a fun, full-colored commemorative collection of high school hijinks, over 700 pages. One from each of the 80 years of Archie publishing. So the real early stories are very, very different because they are all about Archie kind of being this klutz who's it reminds me a lot of the early Charlie Brown, where Charlie Brown was kind of a jerk. Archie, kind of a jerk. Didn't become the lovable Archie character we knew for quite a few years. So I think that's a fun book, and it's $14.99. Again, there are just digests, no new books. The regular Archie series that Mark Waid started and Nick Spencer was continuing seems to have vanished, seems to have gone away. And I'm not even bringing up the horror books because I'm pretty sure that they will never return.
Never return. So instead, go back to page 227, Action Lab Entertainment, Citizen Number 1 with Charlie McFarlane and Alexander Jovic. A journalist tries to cope with being the only non-superhuman in a city full of costume heroes and villains. Only $3.99? Give it a shot. And unfortunately, I have no idea if it's a one-shot or a series or a miniseries because Action Lab don't tell us that stuff. Cory?
Joe, go to page 266.
Oh, we might be on the same page on this one.
Heroes Union.
Yep, I'm on that one.
This is written by Roger Stern, drawn by Ron Frenz, inked by Sal Buscema. It is a 68-page comic for $5, basically creating a bunch of new superheroes. Now, the thing is, they announced this on Facebook. And I am, Facebook friends with Ron Frenz, and he announced it and says it's available in shops today. And I looked all over and looked all over and looked all over and looked all over, and I finally found the Binge Books website, and they said no, it'll be in previews. Because I asked, oh, well, I can't find it in previews. What's the previews number? It's not in previews. It's out today. Well, it wasn't. Binge Books had a weird distribution thing, much like Bad Idea, and I'll talk about Bad Idea a little later, where they had all the books available on the website, and you would go to a participating comic shop and order the books, and the shop would then order them from Binge Books and give you a call when they came in. And I would think that that's a cool idea if you're the Wednesday warrior who goes every week. But for me, it was like, I don't want to go to a shop and then have to go back in 3 days. That's 2 trips to buy books. And I asked, because they've got all these series, can I just order them direct from you? And the owner said, no, they're going to all be in previews. Well, no, there's only one book in previews. So I have to email him back and say, you said they were all going to be in previews. There's just one there. I want to buy your books. Please make it easy for me to buy your books. But what it is, he's gotten these creators who have gotten older, aren't being used by the main companies anymore, like Roger Stern and Ron Frenz, and said, hey, let's publish some books. And the reason they're called Binge Books is because you could order the entire series and binge it like a Netflix show. This is coming out as a regular comic. I like Roger Stern. I like Ron Frenz, and I'm a huge fan of Sal Buscema. Sal Buscema does anything, I'm going to buy it. So this looks to be a lot of fun. Roger Stern's stuff over the past 10 years has been kind of iffy. Sometimes it's really good. Sometimes it's really pedestrian. But he's done some great comics in the past, so I'm willing to give this one a try.
Cool. Let's see. I'm going to pop you back to page 242. And I was so excited about the book you were talking about, I didn't have it set up. I'm just, where do we go? 242. Lester of the Lesser Gods from Albatross Funny Books. This is Eric Powell from The Goon, Lucky Yates, who's a comedian voice of Dr. Krieger from Archer. Let's see, Matt Kusing, Spookhouse, and Eisner Award-winning artist Gideon Kendall from Megaghost. Lester of the Lesser Gods. Lester has no friends and no life. That is until Satan unleashes the apocalypse. No longer is he a 32-year-old, 300-pound LARPer who lives with his mother, a mother who is constantly reminding him of his lowly conception in a biker bar bathroom. But Mama didn't get that gimpy hip from knocking boots with any old biker. 'Twas a god, and Satan shall suckle his knuckle. Hurrahs! And for the hardcore collector, there's a special edition cardstock cover by Gideon Kendall. So this sounds amazingly silly. So I am on it. Cory?
Joe, jump all the way to page 307.
307? All right. Let's see, 307 is after 306, but before 308, so if I'm any judge of my 307s. Okay. Ooh.
Now, Humanoids books. Remember, they were going to have that big new universe created by Mark Waid, and it kind of fizzled out.
Yeah.
But this, I don't have to worry about that because this is First Degree, a crime anthology written by a number of writers. Let's see. For the past 25 years, the Polar Festival of Cognac, France, has established itself as the most esteemed crime fiction conventions in the world. First Degree, a crime anthology, is a commemorative edition of the festival's silver anniversary, containing over a dozen tales by the writers and artists it recognized, along with the section of Humanoid's Best Crime Fiction. I'm big on crime fiction. It's going to be a nice big book. It's, let's see, $27.99 for 148 pages, hardcover. You got me hooked when it's a crime comic. Love me my crime comics.
All right, back, page 252. Here's your chance. You missed it the first time around, or you just weren't collecting comics then. Fathom #1. They're doing a reprint edition, along with some variant covers as well. So for $1.99, it's a good introductory issue. And since, they're always doing reprints and stuff like that, this sounds like a fun one. Plus, it includes a special 6-page preview of a new Fathom series that's going to start up in October. And I imagine that the key to collecting any Aspen title is that usually the A and the B covers are common. It's the C cover, the limited edition, that you want to look for. If the retailer's astute, the variant will be available with as many as they think they can sell. So Fathom was always fun. And here's your chance to see if I'm pulling your leg. Well, it'll cost you $1.99, but you can figure it
out. Next book I have is on 335. The Asterisk Omnibus #5 is coming out. They also have the backstock of 1, 2, and 3. 4 hasn't been printed yet, but it's coming soon. I've read 1, 2, and 3. Absolutely love this book. So much fun. The creator passed away a little bit ago, but these are the best-selling comics in the world. They just have not sold that well in the U.S.
Cory and I are trying.
We do our best.
We do our best.
Come on, we're 163 on Apple Podcasts, I'm sure that we can move up.
At
And the
least
further
one.
we go up, the more power we have. The more power we have, the more we can make and break comics. Not really. No one cares.
Not really. Nobody cares. But on page 300 under heavy metal, I don't know how to say her name. Tarana, the cute chick from Heavy Metal movie. They're doing a one-shot called Elements, which is reprinting the Heavy Metal magazine stories. So if you don't have the Heavy Metals, like I don't, this is your chance to pick it up and go along with the other miniseries that were published.
If you go all the way to page 358, there is a collected version of the new Hard Case Crime. They did it as a miniseries, and now it's a collected version. Hard Case Crime, the girl who electrified Tesla. Private investigator Minky Woodcock becomes involved in an investigation of maverick genius and reclusive pigeon fancier Nikola Tesla and discovers a horrifying conspiracy involving the Nazis.
Again with the Nazis.
It's Hard Case Crime, man. I buy everything from Hard Case Crime. I have yet to read a bad book from Hard Case Crime. The editor of Hard Case Crime, by the way, if you follow the editor, just go to Hard Case Crime on Twitter. He has great stories of books he has to reject and how writers can be real pissy about it.
But it's the best thing ever.
One guy said that, he wouldn't start writing until he got a contract. Unknown writer, and the plot outline was basically 3 lines, and he said, yeah, we'll pass.
Yeah, no problems. Cory?
Yes.
What's in the box? What's in the box?
It's Gwyneth Paltrow's head.
Wrong. On page 340, under Red 5 Comics, box number 1. Leo Bloom is a private detective. His partner is a box, a magic box, from which he can take whatever he can imagine from, well, some of the time. But when he's framed for the kidnapping of prominent scholar, Leo suspects a plot to take his prized possession from him. Can he find out before either the police or the mafia find him? Box number 1.
By the way, I just spoiled 7, didn't I?
I wasn't listening.
Oh, good.
I think it was spoiled back on Robot Chicken.
I think it was spoiled back when the movie came out and everybody was freaked out about it.
Yeah, and Rosebud was his sled.
I'm almost done. Back on 361, I'm going to give the spotlight to, we've got a new comic book creator, which is John B. Cook's magazine that mostly focuses on creators and interviews. This one is Terry Dodson, whose work I absolutely love. And this month's back issue is the Kirby Legacy, which is weird because normally the Kirby stuff is handled in Jack Kirby, the Jack Kirby magazine, but nope, they're doing a special issue. We've got a new issue of Jack Kirby Collector, but we've also got in back issue 131 post Fourth World Bronze Age characters such as Etrigan the Demon, Commandy, the Last Boy on Earth, Omak, the One Man Army Corps, Sandman, Kirby's odd jobs like Atlas, Manhunter, Cobra, Richard Dragon Kung Fu Fighter. That one really surprised me when I'm reading Richard Dragon Kung Fu Fighter. And it's like, oh, wow, here's Kirby doing a Kung Fu comic. Weird. A lot of the post-New God stuff by Kirby I really like, but you could tell that his heart wasn't in it as much, other than Commandy. Commandy was awesome. The Demon was okay. The one-shots were okay. Sandman was god-awful. I defy anybody to read Kirby Sandman and explain what the hell's going on in it. Even Neil Gaiman had trouble figuring it out, and he used all the characters. And that's it for me. The rest is all Joe.
All right. I've got a few more things that I'm looking to buy. Page 318 under Magnetic Press. A graphic novel, After the Fall by Laurent Quasi and Jules Hen. Doesn't matter. I can't pronounce it. But Earth, 116 years after the fall. Galen Gala? Whatever. Her tribe lives amongst the ruins of a metropolis turned upside down. When a gang of slave traffickers attacks them, the men are executed, the women are enslaved, and of course, she's the only one left. And she's got one thing on her mind: to rescue the children of the tribe and set things right. A dystopic tale of revenge and discovery. Let's see, they give the comparison of 90s classic video games like Streets of Rage and anime like Fist of the North Star. So I figured I would check this out. It looks pretty good, the few pages we have of it. Let's see, on page, 318. Did we cover that? Oh, we did that. On page 331, I just want to point out, if you're an Invader Zim fan, Pony's got another Invader Zim, the Dookie Loop Horror One-Shot. So you definitely want to be on top of that. And the finale, the final thing I'll point out is for you Elric fans, back in Titan, on page 252, Elric the Dreaming City, a 2-part book. So they're continuing the run of doing some of Elric's cooler stuff. They also, across from it on page 353, have all of the graphic novels available if you're not going to be cool and pick up the comics. And that's all, folks.
You know who else has stuff for you?
Mom!
NordVPN. Here's me talking about them. Our newest sponsor is NordVPN. Let's be honest, if you're out on the internet, you need a VPN to protect you. There's all sorts of things going on the internet where people can track you. You could accidentally download a keylogger, all sorts of things. NordVPN gives the best security possible. It has a password manager which generates complex passwords, syncs across all your devices, stores your notes and credit card information. It also gives you 10 gigabytes of private cloud storage, secure files that backs up your data automatically. But the main thing it gives you is peace of mind. It gives you peace of mind when you're out on the internet, when you're streaming, when you're playing games, when you're listening to podcasts like this one. It gives you safety anywhere at any time. It protects your online activity. You get full access to all content. And if you use the link go.nordvpn.net sh3ku, it'll take you to where you can get a great deal for a 1-month plan, a 2-year plan, a 1-year plan. They are our newest sponsor. We're happy to have them. And if you would like to sponsor something here at any of the podcasts on the Solitaire Rose Network, you can. Just email me, solitairerosenetwork@gmail.com. Thanks. And I have stuff for you too. All these other podcasts right here. The Solitaire Rose Radio Network is currently on a pause, basically because COVID-19 has made it so that I have to work a lot of extra hours at both jobs. But you can still go and listen to my other podcasts. Now, you're probably listening to Crazy Comics and Stories, which is the main podcast. But on this same feed, KRAYZCOMIX, is Solitaire Rose Radio, the solo radio podcasts that I do. I've done interviews, I've done short stories, I've done all sorts of things, and you can get to it right here on this same feed. I also do a podcast called Novelcast, where I take the novels I've written and turn them into free audiobooks. That's over at novels.solitairerose.com. Dangerous Dan Moore and I, and of course Wolfie B. Bad, give you bad advice over at badadvice.solitairerose.com. You send in your questions, and we give you the aforementioned bad advice. And then myself and Adam Vermillion from For the Love of Comics do the Fantastic Forecast at fantasticforecast.solitairerose.com, where we go through the issues of the Fantastic Four, 4 issues at a time, to give the plot and commentary on each issue. That's not all. Yes, I'm crazy. I still, over at pwinsiderelite.com, every week on Wednesday, do a recap of the latest episode of AEW Dynamite. I write up what happened, and then myself and Anthony Pyrus will do an audio. Now, you can only listen to the audio if you're a member at pwinsiderelite.com, and if you're a wrestling fan, you should be, where we then break down the episode, talk about what we liked, what we didn't like, give it a grade, and let you know if you should have watched that episode. Those are the other podcasts here at the Solitaire Rose Radio Network. Thanks. And then if you've got any extra money, go over to pwinsiderelite.com. If you are a wrestling fan, I'm going to point out something here that may get me in trouble. I don't go to any other wrestling news sites than PW Insider, because I on my phone I have Google News, and in the morning it will give me, oh, here's a rundown of the news, and they'll have wrestling news stories in there, and I click on them, and then I go over to PW Insider, and half the time they're saying, yeah, this story's not true, or this didn't happen, or this isn't signed yet, because there are other websites that say that they're covering news, and they really just grab the rumors that people are talking about. They don't source them. They don't double check them. They don't go to the companies and say, we're going to be running this. Do you have a comment? They just flat out run whatever they hear, and then if they're wrong, they will say things. They will go, well, plans changed. No, plans didn't change. You just were fed a line of crap and bought it. So head on over there. You can read my reviews. I do a blog of AEW Dynamite, and then I do an audio, sometimes by myself, but most of the time with my other podcast partner, who Joe has yet to meet, Anthony Pyrus. And we break down and go over AEW Dynamite. And you can only listen to that audio if you're a subscriber. They have tons of other audio, including a lot. Mike Johnson usually has 3 to 4 interviews a week on a slow week. It's where you're going to get all your wrestling news, wrestling commentary. Just head on over there. Joe, what's going on the eBays?
Well, I thought we'd talk a little bit about the eBays, but I thought we'd talk a little differently, because over the weekend, Cory and I both hit the, what the hell did he call his show?
It's a warehouse sale.
Yeah, Most Wanted Comics does a warehouse sale. And last time it was the same thing. Cory's able to go on Saturday because it's real close to his work, and then I end up going on Sunday because I work Friday, Saturday. And I find tons of fun stuff, and I'm always curious as to what was there Friday. So I went to it, and I will mention before we start about this, if you're interested in some of the stuff I bought, of course, it'll end up on my website, Crazy, Krayz. Come get some. But Cory, I want to hear what some of the fun things you picked up, and I'll start off, because one of the cool things I picked up, and Cory saw it, as I love what I like to do is on the comic sites that Cory and I haunt, a lot of people will drop, hey, this is some of my swag I bought this weekend. One of them I picked up, I've been dying to pick up for a while. It's the IDW Topps Mars Attacks Space Adventure comic books. It contains a complete set of all 55 covers depicting the original trading cards, with an exclusive 56th and 57th cover. And this thing originally, I believe, retailed about $100. If I can, let's see, did they put the price on it? Yep. Oh, I'm sorry, $200.
Yeah,
is what this bad boy cost. They were asking only $30. And I was thinking like you did, Cory. I opened it up, I looked at it and go, oh, that's right. It's all issue number 1. And I thought, you know what? You can't buy a set of Mars Attacks trading cards, not the original, not the 1980s reprint that I had at one time. And I figured, you know what? I will pick this bad boy up. I will revel in its coolness. And if not, well, what do I normally do with stuff?
Sell it on eBay.
Or, well, we'll
It'll
talk
get
about
put
that.
somewhere in the basement and
resurface
in 30
maybe.
years.
What I was going to say is that I might donate it to the MCBA's fall auction. But we'll talk about them a little bit more in the future. Cory, what were some of the fun things you picked up?
I mostly went for one shots, um, annuals, things like that. But I picked up an entire run, all 50 issues of X-Men Unlimited. Joe, why would I do that?
Well, because they're essentially one shots. The guy was selling them all $1 a piece, and they're hit or miss stories, but they can be fun.
Yeah, it's a whole bunch of X-Men one-shots or two stories. Basically, what it was in the 90s, they started doing quarterly books that were sometimes they would tie in with things, but most of the time they would just be, double size one shot stories by other creators. Spider-Man had one, X-Men had one, 2099 had one. The Unlimited were kind of a way to, these books are selling, so here's another way that shops can get some more money. Or in the case of 2099, it was more, okay, we've canceled this line, but we had all this stuff in the drawer. Let's see if, we package it like this, somebody will buy it. I am on a hunt to get all of the pulp fiction annuals that DC did. I think it was in 1996 or 7. They took all of their annuals and did them like pulp stories where they were set, boxing stories or crime stories or things like that. And they're all one shots, they're all done by different creators. But a lot of it was just, looking for cheap reads, one shot, complete miniseries that you could find that I'd never read before, that I'd skipped over because when they came out, it's like, I'm not paying, $4 a book for this 6-part miniseries. But if I could buy the entire thing for $6, yeah, I'll read it. And if I don't like it, give it away or sell it or something like that.
What are some of the things you found?
I found the Vertigo Y2K books, which were these different miniseries that were set in, some of them were science fiction, some of them were horror, but they all had to do around the fear everybody had of the Y2K virus. And DC decided, oh, well, we'll do some miniseries on that through Vertigo. The big run of X-Men Unlimited, that's $50 right there, baby.
Oh, yeah.
I came within 5 books of getting all of DC Future End. But they were missing some of the books, and it's like, well, I don't want to read this. I don't want to pay to read this if I have to, oh, okay, I've hit issue 16. Now I need to read 17 and 18 on the app. And now I'll go there. If I'm going to read it on the app, I'll read the whole thing on the app. So I didn't pick that up. Just little onesie twosie things like that. They didn't have any trade paperbacks, and they didn't have much from the 70s and 80s. Because remember when we went a couple months ago, it was very much 70s and 80s. And then they had a section of really current stuff. Well, this was all pretty much 90s. So,
now, did you go through?
There were your Super vendors. Pro. I almost got some Super Pro, but I decided.
Yeah. Now there were 2 vendors this time around.
Yes.
His brother was there. I actually talked with him a little bit because as I went through the boxes, and then they just said make sure you have them separate. And friendly guy, and we, he was talking about how his brother talked him into doing it. Similar situation. The guy's got comics. He doesn't know what to do with them. He's pricing them out at the show. He had boxes that he didn't have priced yet, which, and I went on Saturday and I'm like, well, you got like 4 hours to go, but they'll have another show. I did the same thing like Cory did. I add one parameter is if I can find something I know that I can put on eBay's to flip. Did not find as much independent stuff as there were last time. That's kind of where I have more fun because there are so many independent titles. And by independent, I mean not one of the main publishers in front of the previews. So, yeah, for $1, I'll pick up a couple runs of stuff and check them out. I did find some things. I mean, like some miniseries, Shattered Image, Inhumans versus X-Men, a couple random what ifs. Cory, remember Detention Comics?
Oh,
Robin,
yeah.
Superboy and Warrior.
I forget who did that, but that was a really fun fill. And didn't Peter David write some of that?
I'll crack it open, take a look. A couple Legends of the Super DC Universe 80-page giants. They had some classic illustrated. I found some Marvel Dark Horse Presents by Dark Horse, not Marvel. Gave Gibbons Treatment. Steve Niles' Criminal Macabre. Found a run of We 3 from Grant Morrison, Frank Quitely? He knows
Frank
how to say it. Quitely. Strange Adventures, a bunch of JLAs. I did buy one book from his half-price Batman run, Detective Comics 347, because on the back, and I buy this because I wanted to share this with all of you, had a certificate of authenticity that this was the Tongi Farm collection. And it reads, the Tongi Farm collection was found in Lawrence, Kansas, and includes full runs of most of the main Marvel titles and many DC titles from 1962 to 1978. The original owner lived on his farm, named the Tongi Farm, in Takamatsu, Kansas. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Anyways, during much of the time, the original owner collected these books. There were over 7,000 comics in the collection. Nicest part about the comics, besides the completeness of the runs, were the Bronze Age books and the condition of them. They were generally unread, glossy with white pages. The certificate documents that this book was part of that collection and was purchased directly from the owner. That was the only book I saw that was part of it. This one was obviously a subscription copy because it has a fold right down the middle of it. And he was doing them half price, so I thought that's kind of an interesting thing. I bought that just to share with you people.
I wish there would be more like that, because I know the Mark Waid, when he sold his collection to start Thrillbent, ooh, that was a poor choice. He had a certificate made that he put in each book that this is part of the Mark Waid collection.
I actually had one of his. I think it was the Jerry Lewis, What If Superman, or When Superman and Jerry Lewis Met. And it had his sign, and so this is from his collection. And
now, did you do that for Nick?
I asked to do that for Nick, but we sold his collection that we got too quick.
Okay.
And I kind of go back, and I wish we didn't. I mean, we sold a large part of it to one of the dealers. I kept a lot of the variants. I think what it was is the con guys were kind of freaked. They didn't realize out of the blue they would get Nick's whole Comic-Con collection. They didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know what to do with it, but they wanted to turn it over fast. In hindsight, I probably should have kept it. We could have certified it. I mean, I'm really happy from one of the guy who used to shop at my store and comic dealer forever, Jerome Winker, when he sold off his vast collection, that I actually got his showcase #1, and it's one of my treasured books. I would love to have something I know that Nick bought. And I think a lot of people that knew Nick would have done the same thing, but it just we didn't know what to do. We sold off the good stuff. I sold off a lot of the stuff at the con for the charity booth. We made quite a bit of money, and to this day, I don't know where the bulk of his collection went. I've heard stories, but I don't know if it was found. I don't know if somebody looted it before they found it. None of my business really. But there's tons of people out there that would love to do that. I'm just kind of flipping through the rest of what I bought. Some Zombie Tramp, which is naughty.
Yeah,
book.
I saw you had a near complete run of that.
Yeah, I picked out some books. A couple of them were funny, where she's sitting on comic boxes. I thought those were kind of neat. I picked up Ziggy Pig's Silly Seal Comics, the second print. I have no idea if I bought the first print or not. They had some Supernatural Law. That's the book by.
I already had those, but I did pick up the. I think it's a 3-issue Mavis miniseries I'd never even heard of before.
Yeah. Let's see what I got. Return a couple Tarzan books, a couple one-shots I'd never seen before, and then I picked up a ton of Kabuki because there was a guy had a whole run of it. Not only the original stuff from Caliber, but also a bunch of the Image things. And I know I have these in my collection, but I know I don't have them all. And $1 a piece, And the way I dork around on the eBays, I can pick them up. And if I find I actually screwed up and I have them, they will show up on the eBays. So did not spend as much as I normally do. Normally I drop about $300. I guess I was close. I was tempted to pick up some of the books.
Now, did Butch go with you?
No, he didn't. He bailed. Well, he didn't bail. He just said he couldn't go. Like he said, I want to go, but then I looked at my wallet, and he's doing like I do. We're waiting for the free comic book day coming up in August. Got to start saving up our money because 2 weeks in a row of geeking. Whew, that's a lot of moolah.
Yeah, it was. I was so proud of myself. I got the living room all cleared out of comics and stuff, and just had what I'm currently reading, and now it's full again.
Yeah,
because I'm sorting and putting stuff away, and it was box day, and so many comics, and my eyes are all messed up, so I have trouble reading them.
Well, that almost sounds like a geeking or a freaking. Are we ready to move on to the next part
yes,
of our
we are. We're ready to go to my favorite part of the show. No, not where I look and go, King Spawn. Who cares?
Well,
it's freaking and geeking. Joe, what are you freaking on?
I thought it was where you picked up a bunch of old-fashioned envelopes and licked them until they all sealed.
Until you lick them and you drop dead because you bought the cheap ones. No, that was on Seinfeld. Never mind.
I don't have Incredible Hulk Omnibus by Peter David Volume 2. It was just one of those things that it was during the whole pandemic thing. It was supposed to be ordered August 20. I don't know why I missed it. So I've got 1, I've got 3, and I've got 4, which is orderable this month. Oh my God, that's right. It's orderable this month. It wasn't even a damn Marvels thing. 5 omnibuses for me. Ugh. Anyways. Somebody did say that it is available. They're going to reprint it in this October, which is good news. I haven't seen it solicited as such.
No,
which is bad news.
It's going to be in an upcoming previews. The end of the year, they are going to be resoliciting a shit ton of omnibuses.
Oh,
Marvel is making so much money off us.
They see a thing. DC, come on, catch up, everybody else. Cory and I we love our omnibuses. So I'm not too worried. I did call around a couple stores, and there's a few other ones I'm looking at. So one way or another, I don't care if I get a first print, second print. I just want it.
Hold on. Let's go see our pals at In Stock Trades.
They don't have them.
You look?
But yep. Because again, this thing came out last October, so it's not like it's fresh stock. It just so happens. Well, I'll talk about it when we get to geeky. While Cory checks that out, I'll get on to my next freaking. Oh, we all know MCBA is doing another show in August.
By the way, nope, it's out of stock at it's
out of stock. You can tell because if you look on Amazon and eBay's, it's got way high prices. So, and again, $125, I'll give you 130, 150, whatever, but no one has it for that. It's all up in the 300 range. Anyways, the MidwestComicBookFans.com, they're having another con. One crazy summer con. It'll be Saturday, July 31st. 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Admission's $5 per person. Kids under 9 for free. All the proceeds are going to go to the Fall Con. The Fall Con, of course, hasn't set a date yet. This will be at the Mermaid Entertainment and Events Center, 22 Mounds View Boulevard in Mounds View. Entrance is in the back side, entry number 4 on the south side of the building. The last time, again, I went after half the day was off. I got off work to go. They said it was just crazy the first part of the thing. There were so many people, it was almost unworkable. And then it kind of, when I went in there I think I got there about 2:30, 3 o'clock. Boy, everybody just looked shell shocked because they were like, oh. And I still found a lot of fun things. I'm not going to be able to go though.
What?
Yeah, I will be in Reno, Nevada. As I mentioned last podcast, I'm helping my daughter move out to grad school. So I had to
And
tell
then you're going to
Kelly,
shoot a man just to watch him die. That's what you do in
no,
Reno, right?
no, you don't do that anymore because you got nowhere to put the bodies. Um, However, there are 3 comic book shops out there, so I will. Oh, did you hear that? Yeah, I gotta time it better when she walks by because I already know. I mean, between Reno and here, there's at least 25, 30 comic shops I could stop at, but it's not gonna happen. So, anyways, I'm not going to one crazy summer con. So you guys have a good chance of getting some fun stuff. So if you have more information, go to MidwestComicBookFans.com. I will mention one thing. We did mention that there was another comic show group in town that were conveniently, quote, quote, placing their con beforehand. I did talk to Kelly. Apparently, these guys are cool. They're going to switch tables. They're going to allow the MCBA to advertise at their con. They're going to advertise at our con. So they're not being Wizard World jerks. They're just, somebody said something to someone who reported it to someone and blah, blah, blah. And that's another reason why you go to our podcast as well as pwinsider.com. When we're wrong, we admit it. So, and we regret the error. Well, I regret the error.
Joe regrets the
error. I regret. I said that. You see, you're in error again. I always say his name wrong. Ned Beatty?
Yes, Ned Beatty.
Yeah, he passed away. Little bummed about that. The man was a journeyman actor in so many different things. It was always a joy to see him pop up in something. We just watched the MASH episode he was in. Of course, he played was it Otis in the Superman movies?
And he played the man who knew the score in Network and has everybody talks about the Howard Beach speech. No, Ned Beatty has the best speech in that. You go ahead, and I'm going to pull that speech up.
All right. I just bummed. I'm always bummed when an actor who I appreciate died. He died of natural causes. What did they say? 82, 83? I don't recall. But he was with family and friends, so it's the best way you can go. I read 9 Houses on the Lake. I'm going to talk about it in Geeking, but I was kind of disappointed because somehow when after I finished reading it, half my issues got that goofy water damage. You know, when you have water damage in a comic and it's crinkly all the way through, does not affect the reading of it. It does affect the collectability of it. I'm going to talk about that on the geeking side. Meanwhile, Cory, what you freaking out?
I have the speech.
Oh, let's hear it.
Now, this is from a movie in 1975. You have meddled with the primal forces of nature, Mr. Beale, and I won't have it. Is that clear? Do you think you've merely stopped a business deal? That is not the case. The Arabs have taken billions of dollars out of this country, and now they must put it back. It is ebb and flow, tidal gravity. It is ecological balance. You are an old man who thinks in terms of nations and peoples. There are no nations. There are no peoples. There are no Russians. There are no Arabs. There are no third worlds. There is no West. There is only one holistic system of systems, one vast and immense, interwoven, interactive, multivariable, multinational domination of dollars. Petrodollars, electrodollars, multi-dollars, Reichsmarks, rins, rubles, pounds, and shekels. It is the international system of currency which determines the totality of life on this planet. That is the natural order of things today. That is the atomic and subatomic and galactic structure of things today. And you have meddled with the primal forces of nature, and you will atone. Am I getting through to you, Mr. Beale? You get up there on your little 21-inch screen and howl about America and democracy. There is no America. There is no democracy. There's only IBM and ITT and AT&T and DuPont, Dow, Union Carbide, and Exxon. Those are the nations of the world today. What do you think the Russians talk about in their councils of state? Karl Marx, they get out their linear programming charts, their statistical decision theories, minimax solutions, and compute the price cost probabilities of their transactions and investments. Just like we do, we no longer live in a world of nations and ideologies, Mr. Beale. The world is a collage of corporations, inexorably dominated by the immutable bylaws of business. The world is a business, Mr. Beale. It has been since man crawled out of the slime. And our children will live, Mr. Beale, to see that perfect world in which there's no war, no famine, oppression, or brutality. One vast and ecumenical holding company for whom all men will work and serve a common profit, in which all men will hold a share of stock, all necessities provided, all anxieties tranquilized, all boredom amused. And I have chosen you, Mr. Beale, to preach this evangel. Why? Because you're on television, dummy! 60 million people watch you every night of the week, Monday through Friday. You have seen the face of God, Mr. Beale.
Or you could go to Rodney Dangerfield's Back to School when, upon being told that they were going to give a business school named after Rodney Dangerfield's character, Ned said to the professor protesting, "To be fair, it was a really large check." Either one, same thing.
I only have one free. Well, I have two.
Okay.
I talked a little about the binge books. Here is the email I got. Thanks for writing and for wanting to buy a binge bundle. The shop list will be removed soon because every binge book will be available to previews. No, it's not. To order at every comic shop starting with the August 4th release of the Heroes Union #1. So what I'm taking from that is they never set up where you can buy their books on their website. But when the Heroes Union comes out, you're going to be able to order them through all shops through previews. What a mess. But not as big a mess as the company Bad Idea Press. And Joe talked about them a while back, and they are literally a gimmick company. This book's only going to be available at this store for one day. And they can't sell it as a back issue, and they can't sell it online, and they can't do this, and they can't do that, etc., etc. Well, everything they've ever done as a publishing company has been a gimmick. So last week, they put out a press release saying that as of the end of the year, Bad Idea is no more. We are closing down operations. We will print the books that we are selling, that we've announced, and December 31st, Bad Idea is shutting down. This is also a company that said that they were created by demons. They do all this stuff, and I'm betting what it is. January 1st, they're a new company called Good Idea Publishing, and they'll be available through previews and etc. But we went to the Source 2 weeks ago, and they had this big stack of one of the Bad Idea books, but it was #2. I said, well, if I can find #1, maybe I'll give it a try. Nope. #1, they could only sell for one day. #2, they could sell that all the time. Well, screw that. I'm not going to buy #2 if I can't buy #1.
Only one per person, though.
I don't care.
Me neither.
If I can't buy issue 1, why would I want to buy issue 2? Oh, we'll never have trade paperbacks. Well, then screw you. I don't care enough about your books that I've never heard of to hunt you down. This artificial goosing of the back issue market has always annoyed me. Always, 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 always. When Marvel did this thing where with the X-Men, all right, you could buy it for $1.99 with the special shiny cover, or you could wait 2 weeks to buy it for $1.50. I think I'm the only person who told Joe, yeah, I'll wait 2 weeks to get the one that's $1.50. What? I don't want to pay an extra 50 cents for a shiny cover because with a shiny cover, once I put it in the box, I'm never going to see the shiny cover again, and I don't care.
Yeah, and that's probably the one worth more because they didn't publish as many.
Right. Um,
Oh, I forgot to mention I did buy one Deathmate.
which one?
I found a tour book that had been signed by a bunch of people.
Oh,
Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, I think is one of them. So,
but one of the things I'm noticing is a lot of back issues are starting to go crazy now.
crazy.
And one of the things I've said for years is the mainline Marvel books from 1990, I would say 94, 95 to 99. Those are going to be books that are hard to find because that was when the comic field collapsed. And eventually people are going to want to go back and fill in those issues of Spider-Man and fill in those issues of Captain America and fill in those issues of Thor. Probably not those issues of Avengers because that was the crossing.
I have the omnibus. It's right next to my Marvel Secret Wars 2 omnibus.
But the speculators seem to have come back.
Yeah. And it's even on current issues too. I mean, we talk about some of the ones we've talked about that are just silly pricing.
And while I understand the whole multi-cover thing, I never got into it. I have bought one special cover, and that was Spider-Gwen #1. I bought 20 of the blank cover for getting, basically to get art on those covers. But I don't care about the extra covers. I don't care about all the this, all the that. And when you go through that warehouse sale, so many shiny covers, so many X-Men books. If you want your 90s X-Men, $1 each. Even the anniversary issues, even the issue where Wolverine gets all his adamantium pulled out, not the special hologram cover of that, but the regular cover. They're all there. They're all $1. They're not hard to find. Speculators always cause problems. I hope it doesn't get bad. But I will say that I do like the fact that when we went to different comic shops, they were selling out of stuff because you don't lose money when you sell out of comics. Joe, what are you geeking on?
Oh, all sorts of things. A new eBay collector popped up. Toy King Collectibles. Somebody I know on one of the, I think it was Minnesota Toy Mob Facebook page said that Mark said, "This is my son's online store. Show some love and support." So I went over, took a look, said I mentioned it on this here podcast. It does look good, although he doesn't use store categories. I told him you probably should because paging through 628 items under other is just not going to do it. I kind of looked through stuff. If you want to check it out, again, the store name is Toy King Collectibles, Toy King, one word. I'll spell this out because this is his eBay name, which is an easier way to find him. TECHUNIONLLC. Oh, God, am I going to need readers for computers? I can barely make that out. So, again, if you got an eBay store you're doing, drop us a line. I'll mention you on this here podcast. It's what we like to do. Speaking of ways to buy things, the marvelous Patrick, who's an artist, popped up on my Facebook feed, a friend of Evelyn, Cory's friend, and Chris Jones, a comic creator we know, doing a Kickstarter called Future Girl. And I pre-ordered the graphic novel. Basically, there's a girl from the future falls into our time while battling an evil robot. What follows is an adventure through space and time, matters of life and death, and twists and turns. And of course, you know me, just say time travel and you got me. Future Girl. So look it up by name. And not outrageously expensive for stuff. I just dropped for the autographed book. As if I don't have enough books, we are entering into what I will call the great comic graphic novel sort and purge. I am trying to get all the graphic novels I own in some semblance in order. Why? Well, because although it is satisfying to have 3 copies of Spider-Man, The Return of the Burglar in hardcover, there is no reason to have 3 copies of Spider-Man The Return. I would have much rather noticed that I didn't have my Incredible Hulk Omnibus by Peter David Volume 2. But it did help once I got things organized to realize, yeah, I probably want to pick up the Books of Magic and New Mutants and all the other ones that I got. So I spent most of the day, and the weather today in St. Paul it's in the 90s, but it's dry, nice, cool, northerly breeze if it hits you just right. No humidity. It's going to return again on Wednesday. We had a brief blip where it went down in the 80s, and it was actually nice. So, but I went through. I got all my omnibuses in one place. I went through. There are certain books that I want to keep indoors versus eventually everything's going to go to a storage bin as we get ready to decide if we're going to keep or sell the house. For example, my first edition signed copy of Good Omens. That's an $800 book, according to our good buddy Greg Ketter over at Dreamhaven. Closed on Sunday, but open every other day. Dana returned my Preacher collection. She's got my Sandman collection, though. Different hardcover books. So as I'm going through it, it's kind of fun to see what I've got, see things that I've got duplicates of. Like Cory says, do I really need, if I got an omnibus, do I need it in an Epic collection? Probably not. I've got a whole stack of things I'm going to price out, put on the eBays. Everything else I'm putting in the garage. I've got 3 tables set up, graphic novels A through Z, 2 stacks of S, because a lot of comics and S's. And then I've got tons of books that I've either read, haven't read, meant to read, or just plain forgot I had. In the house, I've got, over here, I've got my run of Avengers by Hickman, Green Lantern, JSA by Jeff Johns. I've got Echo. I've got my Zot Omnibus, Neil the Horse, just things I haven't read that I want to get to. And everything else I'm going to store alphabetically in short boxes because I moved a couple long boxes and I think I gave myself a hernia. And write down, buy yourself a trust. And just, put them away for storage in some way. When the kids move out, I'll probably return them upstairs and set up a real library so I can look at them. Even got the omnibuses off our piano because we're doing a major house painting, cleaning. They're going to refix our blown ceiling. They're going to replace the 1970 wallpaper, fix a couple holes we didn't realize we had behind our bathtub. So all the books are being moved. I got everything that I wanted out of the business room I'm talking in right now. I got everything out of my bedroom, off the dining room table, out of half of the basement, and I found stacks of books. It was just fun, but I want to get everything organized, put away, and then I can go back and maybe I'll skip tomorrow, go to half price. They must have something I can buy. I mentioned Nine House on the Lake. Fabulous book. Fantastic. 12-issue miniseries. I read the first one. I will probably buy the series. Hopefully I can find a number 1 somewhere. I don't want to give away the twist ending, but it is one that I recommend pick up before you hear on our podcast. It's now a $70 book. In terms of other things I picked up, in a moment of serendipity, after I went to the summer sale, I went over to a Half Price Books that was nearby, and I picked up a couple things, but they had in their clearance box a Malibu Bravura superset, including the book that had the gold stamp program on it. I distinctly recall a cardboard piece that I gave away. Or you could get this limited edition book. I don't know if it was one that I gave away. It doesn't have a price on it. This one was signed by Walt Simonson. I don't have a Walt Simonson signature. I do now. It also comes with a lot of gold and silver books. So apparently when we were talking about the titles that were part of this series, we forgot to mention there were various gold variants. So I will probably put them on eBay, but keep the other ones and read them. Cory, I found speaking of finding things, I found the copy of Becoming Superman that J. Michael Straczynski wrote with an introduction by Neil Gaiman. Would you like it? Because I know you said you were interested in reading it.
Yeah, I am interested in reading it.
All right. That's what I do with my extra books, people. Well, not all of them. Speaking of Straczynski, I actually read. I found a cheap graphic novel when we were up at Remix, Superman Grounded for $3. I got the hardcover edition. And this is something in the back of my mind that makes me think that maybe I should not have sold off stuff, because I'm reading this. I don't remember it. I remember reading it. I remember collecting it. I remember selling it at the Great Comic Purge of 2018, but I don't remember this. So maybe I shouldn't be in such a hurry to sell things off. I was waiting for Chris to jump in the room and yell at me. Oh, well, that didn't happen. We're good. That's pretty much it for me for geeking. Cory, what you geeking on?
Box Day.
Box Day
made my Saturday so much fun, because I did my overnight shift on Friday night, and there was only one client, and it's a client who I know really, really well. And so I came in. He was already in bed. We got to chat for a little bit, because it's a house I don't work at very often. And, he has slowed down over the last couple of years, but it was nice to see him, nice to get caught up. And when he sleeps, he sleeps. When you go to wake him up in the morning, you have to go in and go, "Are you ready to get up yet?" "Oh, I need another half hour." He's not somebody who's going to wake up at 2 in the morning and go, "I want a drink of water," I go to the bathroom and turn my TV on. No, so I knew I was going to get a good night's sleep. Went over to the other group home I was working at, and all but one client stayed in bed all day. They were just tired. And the one who stayed up, she knows the minute I show up. Joe, do you have Pluto TV? Do you ever watch the Pluto TV?
Pluto TV? Barely watch the streaming services I have now, but I know I have it somewhere.
Pluto TV is this collection of streaming channels. They've got some on-demand stuff, but mostly it's just a whole bunch of streaming channels. She knows when I show up, because the minute she heard my voice, she was like, "It's puppy day!" On Pluto TV, they have a channel called Pet Collective, which is just a collection of YouTube videos of dogs and cats and other animals being cute. So she watched that all day while I read, and that was my shift. I got done at 2 o'clock, went over to the warehouse sale, and I took my time because I had nowhere to go. I had all the time in the world. I was there. I got there around 2:30. Around 4:15, there was nobody there, and the one person who was still working the counter was consolidating boxes. And I said, "When do you guys close? Because I don't want to be holding you up." He's like, "Oh no, we close at 5. We close at 5. You're fine." And so I just kept going through, and I think I was bringing my stuff over to the counter when I finally said, "Oh, to hell with it." And I went and I got the run of X-Men Unlimited, because I picked up a couple that were in one of the boxes, but I'd seen that they had the whole run. So it's like, now I'll just buy the whole run. I don't care. I'm buying the whole run. And then I got home and it was Box Day.
Yay!
And so I got home around 5:30. I ordered a pizza, because I figured, hey, I've been at work all week. And it had been a busy week. So, yeah, I'm going to order a pizza because I can. A lot of people who grew up in the city don't think of it the way I do, because I remember if we wanted a pizza, my parents they have to get in the car. They have to drive for a half hour to pick up the pizza and drive a half hour home. Whereas here, I grab my phone. I tap 5 things and a pizza shows up at my house a half hour later. Oh my God. That's still amazing to me. Made me happy. And then I watched, I got caught up on the wrestling for the week. Ring of Honor is fantastic. Major League Wrestling is so damn good. I did watch 2 episodes of Dark Side of the Ring, which you need to be in a good headspace for that, because it's unbelievably depressing. Watched the Dynamite Kid one, and that one just broke my heart. There's a guy who was really good at what he did and turned into a complete asshole, so that by the end, nobody wanted anything to do with him at all. And then I had my Saturday night off, so it's, hey, what's on Joe Bob Briggs this week? Oh, it's Maniac Cop 1 and 2. So, yeah, I watched me some crappy movies. And then Sunday, I started rearranging stuff in the kitchen so that it's easier to get to. But the big thing showed up today, Joe.
Which is?
Air conditioning. Last week, it got to over 100 degrees in my house, even with fans and everything. And, you get the weather alerts. My weather alert goes into a lot more detail when you look at it, and it's, well, once it gets over 95 degrees, a fan doesn't help because it's just blowing hot air around. And I said, fuck this. If I'm going to be home all summer again, I'm going to have air conditioning. So I got air conditioning. I got one of those portable air conditioners because I don't need the air conditioner in the window. They don't do anything, and I don't have a lot of windows that can hold them. But this is one that basically you just hook the vent up to a nearby window and you can wheel it anywhere. So I don't have to cool the whole house. I just cool where I am. And it's been glorious today because it got around 90, but nope, the house has stayed a nice 75 degrees, which is, great weather for me to work on a computer and tell people, no, I'm sorry, your deadline for enrolling in benefits was 6 months ago. No, we can't grant an exception for 6 months ago. I'm sorry. Comic-wise, I have trouble reading comics on paper now. My eyes have gotten that bad. Last Thursday, I went to the eye doctor. Joe, you know how you said that you drive me home from the eye doctor after they do whatever they need to do?
Mm-hmm.
The guy who's going to be doing it said, oh, no, you come in. We use a laser. You're not going to see anything but some bright flashing. And you just drive yourself home. Your vision will clear by 6 hours after. We have to do one eye at a time. About 6 hours after when the laser's done all its work, about 6 hours later, you're going to see massive improvement. And then the week later, do the other eye, and you're going to be just as good as it was when you had your cataract surgery done, which is good because it's really getting harder and harder for me to read. And he said that basically my vision right now is like looking through a shower curtain.
Well, it depends on what's on the other side of the shower curtain, really.
Hey now.
Oh my.
I have also been watching horror documentaries. And I'm going to recommend one. I am not a fan of the Friday the 13th movies. Not a fan of that stuff. But there is a documentary called Crystal Lake Memories. It's an 8-hour documentary where they go through the making of each movie, including interviewing directors, actors, writers, people who were involved in all of the movies. I thought, I'll watch a couple hours of it and then stop, and a couple of hours the next week. Nope, I watched the whole thing. The whole thing, all 8 hours in a day and a half. And then also on Shudder, they have two documentaries. It Came from Darkness, which are documentaries about the horror movies that came out in the 80s. So here's 1981. Here were like 5 or 6 horror movies that came out then, and what they interview people who were involved in it, people who worked in the movie business, the changes that happened during that year, such as, this was the year that the slasher movies didn't do as well, so we moved into this. And it's weird, I'm not a big horror movie fan. I like crappy movies, but I'm not somebody who, I got to get the new issue of Fangoria. But I loved watching the stuff of the people behind the scenes, interviews with Tom Savini and, the people who worked with the Italian directors bringing that stuff over. Comic-wise, I've just been reading stuff on the tablet, and I'm going to start reading Future's End because I did not get it. It was the big New 52 crossover that it was a weekly book, and then when it got to September, remember they had the 3D covers on everything? That story. So I will report back in a week or two if that's any good or not. Believe it or not, kids, you've listened to us blather on about funny books for 2 hours.
Hooray!
And as we say every week, the comic we like the least, we still like better than the comic that you like the most. Joe?
Well, since my attempt to make sophisticated, timely humor over multiple podcasts failed, we're back to dad jokes. Cory, what's brown and sticky?
A stick.
A stick. Two guys walk into a bar. Third guy ducked. Why are elevator jokes classic and good? They work on many levels. What did the police officer say to his belly button? You're under a vest. Ah!
You know the only thing that's good about your elevator joke? It reminded me of the song Elevator Girl by Baby Metal.
Other than copyright infringement. Hit my music.